How are you, Matthew?
Doing good, Greg. How are you?
Good. So I basically stalked your Instagram page this morning and saw that it says painter, then filmmaker. Is there a bridge that connects both crafts as far as one feeds the other? And if so, in layman's terms, how does one practice or craft feed one another? If so.
God, that's a great question. I definitely think they fit each other. As a painter, you have complete control of what actually comes out. You have a goal in an image, and you execute it onto the canvas. Same thing with filmmaking. There's still a structure. There is still It's different because of the collective creativity that comes together. It's not just you painting, it's multiple people painting. But I felt like if I was directing, I was still holding the brushes. I was still able to create a piece of art using all of the paints and all of the brushes that I could with, the team that I was fortunate enough to work with.
On a very superficial level, The Dirty South can be considered a crime drama genre film, which is in and of itself fine to watch. But I thought what made it really interesting is it feels like the filmmaker who did this had a personal connection to the place and the people and the environment. Was that an illusion? And if so, how did you make that illusion work when you were writing this? Because it really feels like there's some kind of connection. And if there wasn't, then it's a great magic trick you pulled.
Oh, there's definitely a connection. I actually worked at this bar in college. I'm from the area that I'm from the Winfield, Natchitoches area of Louisiana, and I played baseball in Natchitoches. I shot the entire film here, and anyway, this was the bar that I worked at in college, and I just knew that my mentor told me a long time ago to write what I know and write what I can produce, and so that was a lot of my mindset of going into the writing process was okay, write for all the places that you know that people are going to let you shoot in there. And I created a story of places that I knew that I could all these places that I knew that I could shoot at, and I created it with characters that I've been around my entire life.
I never pictured Willa in this role before it started, and then I thought she was perfect. Did you already know that she was? How did you know that she was going to be perfect for the part?
To be totally honest, I when we lost another actress 2 weeks prior to shooting, and whenever I was given a list of just these names. When the first one on the list was Willa Holland, and when I looked at her, it's like, this is Sue. I think this is more of our Sue than what we had. Like, and when she showed up to set, man, she was it. Like before she showed up to her fitting, you know, I love Willa, and then she may laugh at me for saying this, but she got out of the car smoking a cigarette. Like, just she looked like Sue. It was just very. She has a very toughness to her, and I'm trying to find the word. She has a toughness to her, but she still has a real love behind her eyes that this role was perfect for her.
Yeah, the Dirty South can be considered when you think of the Dirty South regarding your story. One could think about the crimes that are inherent within the narrative, but then there's another flip side where it's also a societal thing where the people who are the haves continue to feed off the have-nots, and maybe that could be a crime in and of itself. Can you talk about that aspect of the rich getting richer and the poor are pretty much at their subjugation, amidst that whole crime drama element of your film?
Of course, I mean, there's no secret that uh, in the South, especially, there's not really three classes. There's no middle class. It's the upper class and the lower class. It's because the lower class always works for the upper. The business owners around here are are very, very well fed, and the workers are not. And that's not everywhere, but that is in quite a bit of places around here.
Final couple of questions. First off, what was the biggest lesson you learned making the Dirty South that you could impart to people who are trying to embark on their first film or are just looking for that insightful advice? What was that biggest challenge or lesson you learned that you're going to take to your next project?
Uh, Hands down, the greatest thing I've learned from this 5 year period is that if you need something, don't be scared to ask. All of us are always scared to ask for it, whether it be money, whether it be locations, whether it be any help you'll be surprised how many people are willing to help if you ask. You don't demand it. You know, there's just ways to go about this, but we crowdfunded this film just to actually get into the game. And we had enough money to actually start making offers to actors and actresses. It's because people were there ready to help. And when it came time to shooting, like the weather plummeted. They brought heaters, they brought blankets, they delivered a tractor in 30 minutes. They delivered a 300-pound hog in a day. So it was one of the greatest things I watched, is that you'd be surprised how much people actually want you to succeed. You just have to ask.
Is 5 years, to people like me on the outside, 5 years seems like a lot of time, but when you're actually in the thick of it, in the war of it, does it seem like not too much time? Because this is seeming like there's no vacation from you trying to make this movie over the 5 year period. So
No, there's no vacation. There were times that I felt like everything was moving slow, and I was like, I'm just ready for it to get from here to there. But that's part of it. This thing came together at the perfect time, uh, just because that's the way things that fall into it. We What's funny is, like, the pre-production feels like it lasts forever, and then shooting lasts this much, and then in our case, we we edited the film in 6 months, and so the ending part was, it flew by, it seemed like, but it was the beginning that you just have to keep digging. You have to keep just trying to get everything that you can in preparation for that little time that you get to shoot.
Matthew, so this is a very personal film for you. So my final question is, can you name one of your all-time favorite movies that strikes a personal connection or chord with you? And if so, what makes this specific movie, a very special experience for you as a cinephile?
You know, I've really been, my favorite movie of all time is The Departed, but the one that I would speak on that has become a new favorite to me is Hell or High Water. And a lot of that is very, very close to the film that I wrote, because it's an anti-hero genre about somebody doing good people doing bad things for the people we love. It's sometimes that's just life. I don't think that everybody just wants to do a bad thing. I do think that there's a reason to do it, and the only one that is across the board is okay is if you're doing it for somebody else because you love them and they need you.
And as you're leaving, painting comes naturally to you, filmmaking, visual compositions come naturally, I'm assuming. The writing part, am I assuming, was that a challenge, or did that come naturally as well as these aforementioned practices? Was writing a natural feel for you?
Writing has always been a natural feel for me. I've journaled my entire life. I have written plays since I was young, but it wasn't until I got out of college that I decided to really learn learn the structure of screenwriting. I found a mentor who has helped me for years and years on it, and I even helped her produce a film just so I could learn more about this entire process. And I did that for free. It was completely for my learning, and I feel like the more I've learned, the hardest part is sitting down. Like, if you sit down, you'll be surprised. It comes out.
Thank you so much for your time. Really enjoyed your film.
Thank you, Greg.
Appreciate it. Take care.